So we're here on Daf Ayin Amid Beis, and we're up to Tanur Rabbanan. So again, we've been discussing Seudas Eber Chodesh, and we're talking about whether the Seudas at night, whether the Seudas on day, and the idea of publicizing that this month is Me'ubar, it has 30 days and not 29 days. And if the Ben Soru Morer eats Kizolel Vesove, but it's an Seudas Eber Chodesh, he does not qualify as a Ben Soru Morer. And the Gemara vacillated back and forth whether the Seudas Eber Chodesh consists of Basar and Yayin, because the Brisa says, Ein olim la ela pas dagon v'kitnius bilvad. And the Gemara says that the Mishnah is coming to teach me a chidush, that even though the Seudas Eber Chodesh does not comprise, I would say, anything more than pas and kidney, is not basar v'yayin. But nevertheless, since he ate the basar and he drank the yayin in the ambiance of a Seudas Eber Chodesh, that's called b'mitzvah ka'asik. In other words, the Seuda itself is a Seuda of Eber Chodesh, which is a mitzvah. Lo mimshach. It does not draw him in. It's not addictive, we said. It has a different ambiance. It's not like a regular achila ravtanit of gluttony. Sorry. Okay. Tanur Rabbanan. We learned in a brisa. So this is a long daf, Ayin Amid Beis. See if you can find Tanur Rabbanan. It's, I would say, about 15 lines up from the bottom of the Yom. And if you go up from the bottom, you'll see a line that starts with the word asik. If you cross your finger along the line, you'll get to Tanur Rabbanan. Ein olim be'ibra chodesh pachos me'asara b'nei adam. A Seudas Eber Chodesh requires a minimum of 10. V'ein olim la el b'pas dagon v'kitnios. V'ein olim la el li'ar iburo. V'ein olim la bayom ela balayla. So for some reason, the Seudas Eber HaChodesh has to be postponed until after the 30th day. It's going to be the night going into day 31. That's called Motzai Yom Shloshim. And in the language of the Brisa, that's called Ar Iburo. And the Seudas Eber HaChodesh will take place at night. As we said, after the 30th day, the night going into the 31st day, and not during the day. So the Gemara right away raises a contradiction. V'atanya, we learned in a brisa, ein olim la balayla bayom, just the opposite. The Gemara answers, Kida Omer Rabbi Chia bar Abba libnei, achrifu ve'ulu, achrifu ufuku. The purpose of the Seudas Eber Chodesh is to publicize that we have added a 30th day to the month. So therefore, Rabbi Chia permitted his children and mandated that when they go to participate in a Seudas Eber Chodesh, then you should start the Seuda by day. That's called Achrifu Ve'ulu. And that's before the night. So you begin the Seuda by day, and that creates a certain rash, a certain noise. People hear about it. They're making this big banquet, 10 people, and it's during the day. That's going to publicize. And then Achrifu Ufuku. You should eat the Seuda through the night and go down from the Seuda. Apparently the Seuda was up in the attic or in the second floor. Anyway, come down with daybreak the next morning. So that once again, people heard you. They heard you when you went up, and now they're going to hear you when you go down, because it's again daybreak. So you start during the day of day 30, ending day 30, and you end the Seuda the morning of the 31st. And in both cases, since it's during the day, they'll get the message. In fact, they'll probably figure out that you were there the whole night. And that's going to create a pirsum. And the purpose of the Seudas Eber Chodesh is for pirsum. I mean, again, in our day and age, I don't know that you can think of better ways, maybe through social media, of notifying everybody, or WhatsApp groups, that it's Rosh, that it's a mole and it's a 30-day month. So the bottom line is that the pirsum element of Seudas Eber Chodesh is made up of 3 different parts. The first part is when, before nightfall, at the end of day 30, they went up to eat the Seuda. Then, number 2, they had the Seuda at night, which lasted through the night. And number 3, they came down from the high place where they ate the Seuda, Bashkavas HaBoker, with daybreak in the morning.
Rabbi Zahn,
Yes.
Is this the case because partially, when were people observing Yom Kippur Katan, and they were fasting, and so this was a Seuda to break the fast?
I don't think that this Seudas Eber Chodesh has anything to do with Yom Kippur directly. Indirectly, it might have to do with Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is going to be the 10th. What do you say?
Yom Kippur Katan, where they would fast before.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Yom Kippur. I was going to say a whole pilpul here that, since Yom Kippur itself is on the 10th of the month, it's very important for us to tell you that Elul was a 30-day month, and therefore Yom Kippur is 1 day later. But you're talking about Yom Kippur Katan. Is that minhag based or reflective at all of what we're talking about here?
That's my question.
That maybe it's also a pirsum that on Erev Rosh Chodesh, we're notifying everybody that tomorrow is going to be Rosh Chodesh. Is Yom Kippur Katan always on Erev Rosh Chodesh?
Not always.
Not always. Like if it's a Shabbat, what?
Most of the time.
Oh, you're in and out here. I don't hear you clearly. But
no, I think most of the time. I think except on Fridays, and then there are a couple of months that you don't have it. Nissan.
Right. And also, if let's say Rosh Chodesh is on a Sunday, then maybe Yom Kippur Katan is before Shabbos. Yeah. But in any event, maybe you're right. Maybe that's a way of getting the message across. But do you eat a Seuda on Yom Kippur Katan? Is there such a minhag? I don't know. I'm pleading the fifth here. I don't know. Usually Yom Kippur Katan is a whole series of tefillos. You know what I mean? It's more of a solemn fast than a happy Seuda. Here you get the impression that this is like a hoopla. They're having a lot of fun over here. Now, I don't know how they last through the entire night. And they're only eating pas and kidneys. My gosh. I mean, I like kidneys, but I can't eat kidneys the whole night. I'm not going to tell you what it'll do to my stomach. I mean, it's just anyway. Okay. Now, I'm looking for a Rashi about the Ben Soru Morer who partook of a Seudas Eber Chodesh. I think it's back on Ayin Amud Aleph. Just give me a second to get oriented. Or is it here on Ayin Amud Beis? Just one second. Oh, here it is. On Daf Ayin Amud Beis, we're looking at Rashi. Dibra Maskil Ochal Be'ibra Chodesh. Can you find that Rashi? It's in the thin lines of Rashi, about 3/4 of the way down, or 2/3 of the way down. Rashi says, "Kina mefarish lekamon, shehem nikbatzim asara o yoser, v'olim baliyah, v'ein aseifa zu el lefarsem adavar shebrua v'lo la'ayin." Okay, so we want to underline those words, v'lo la'ayin. So Rashi's telling us that the purpose of their going up to this aliyah, as we said before, like to the attic, to the roof, is not to be ma'ayin. They're not questioning and investigating, weighing back and forth whether we should add another day to the month or we should not. That's not the pirsum. And Rashi proves it. Ha'ein olim eli ar iburo. Ar iburo means motzai shloshim, right? So they've already added a day. Ukvar ma'ubarhu. So the word la'ayin would be to decide whether or not to go ahead and be ma'aber, but it's already ma'ubar. Dehalo kidshu hayom es hachodesh. Interesting. Rashi says that I'll prove to you that it's a Chodesh Mu'ubar, because if it wasn't a Chodesh Mu'ubar, then today, day 30, would have been Rosh Chodesh. And that requires what's called a Kiddush. Kiddush means that Beis Din is going to declare Mekudosh Mekudosh, which they didn't do on the 30th day in this case. Normally they would do it because the month ended at the end of 29 days. So day 30 is the first day of the next month, and they were Makadesh that day 30 as Rosh Chodesh. But now they weren't Makadesh day 30. So it must be that day 30 belongs to the previous month, making it into a Chodesh Mu'ubar. So they already have established that the month is a Mu'ubar. So that's ukvar ma'ubar hu. We'll emphasize those three words. The kiddush ein sham biyom machras. Oh, now Rashi says, why do we need this pirsum? I mean, l'chora, if there was no kiddush on day 30, people will understand that day 31 is sanctified as Rosh Chodesh. Why do we need all this pirsum? So Rashi's answer is, B'kiddush ein sham biyom machras. There is no kiddush on day 31. So again, Rashi's question is, what do you need Pirsim for? Everybody's going to realize that day 31 is the first day of the new month. There's no such thing as a month that has 31 days. But Rashi says there's no Kiddush on that day of Yom Shloshim V'Echad, Limno Salkach, to count that as the first day of the new month. Kidamrinani quotes the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Shelo Bismano Ein Mekachinoso. That if it's already day 31, that's called Shelo Bismano, we're not going to go through the process of Kiddush. It's automatic. Because if they didn't sanctify day 30 as Rosh Chodesh, then automatically, Memela, day 31 becomes Rosh Chodesh, so there's no process of Kiddush. And if there's no process of Kiddush, apparently the Kiddush itself was very public in nature, people don't realize that today's Rosh Chodesh. You have to remind them. How do you remind them? Through the Pirsim of Seudas Eber Chodesh. The Ode, the L'Kedushay B'Shlosha Sagi. Oh, Rashi now gives another answer. He points out the contrast between Kiddush and Seudas Eber. Seudas Eber requires 10 people, and 10 participants makes it into Pirsim. Anything that requires Pirsim, you declare, etc., in front of 10. But Kiddush could be in front of a Bezdin of Shlosha, and that would not generate a Pirsim. So Rashi is basically giving two answers. I don't know if there's a contradiction between the two answers. It seems like it is. The first answer is that on day 31, there is no Kiddush. And he quotes the Gemara Rosh Hashanah to that effect. And the second answer is that even if I grant you there'd be Kiddush on the day of 31, but nevertheless, that's not going to generate Pirsim. Like it always bothered my mind, why do we have these minhagim? Like, for example, Hachraza, that on the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh, we announce when Rosh Chodesh is going to be. This is all part of Pirsim. We don't have now the mechanism in our time of being Makadesh the Chodesh. Where's the official act of Kiddush HaChodesh, Bisman Hazeh? We don't have the Bezdin for that. So how do we achieve Pirsim if there's no Bezdin actively being involved in being Makadesh the Chodesh? And that's the Shabbos before through Hachraza. But the bottom line is we need a Pirsim. We're not going to assume that everybody and their uncle knows that day 31, that is the day of Rosh Chodesh. Okay. Now I have in front of me, and I think we've quoted the Yad Ramah on many occasions, on Masechet Sanhedrin, one of the key Rishonim of the Chachmei Sfarad is the Yad Ramah. And he writes the following. The Ein Olim Elali Ar Iburo, Leil Iburo, Dahainu Motzoi Tisha V'Yesrim Yom. Whoa. So when it says Ein Olim Ella, when do we do the Seudas Eber Chodesh? It's Li'ar Iburo. What is Li'ar Iburo? We said Li'ar Iburo means the night after day 30. But the Yad Ramah writes, Motzoi Tisha V'Yesrim Yom, the night after day 29. V'chein Pirush Rabbeinu Chananel. So it's not just the Yad Ramah. And my only question is, technically, how do they know that this is going to be a Chodesh Me'ubar? It's only day 29. I think the answer is if no witnesses came to testify about the new moon the Levana B'chidusha, then automatically the month becomes Mu'ubar, and we added day 30. So on the night going into day 30, that's when we want to send out the message that this is Rosh Chodesh. I'm sorry, that this is not Rosh Chodesh, that the month is going to be extended into 30 days. So it's very interesting because according to Rashi's Pshat, the Seuda of Eber HaChodesh is really taking place on Rosh Chodesh itself, which is nice. You know, we have a Seuda for Rosh Chodesh. I know people are makbid on Seudas Rosh Chodesh, but according to Yad Ramah, the Seuda is the day before Rosh Chodesh. It's the 30th day, which is the last day of the previous month, which is a Chodesh Me'ubar. And now the Yad Ramah wants to prove his point by quoting a Gemara Rosh Hashanah Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis, Ein Masiyin Masos Ella Al Chodesh Shenira Bizmano Lekadsho. So in the old days, you know, as part of the process of Kiddush HaChodesh, they had what's called Masiyah Mesuos. You remember the torches on the top of the mountains, from one mountain to the next mountain to the next. And they only did that on a Chodesh Shenira Bizmano Lekadsho. All right, I think we'll leave this for tomorrow. So let's just make a note of it. We have here a basic machlokas here between Rashi and the Yad Ramah as to when the Eber, the Seudas Eber would take place. Was it after the 29th day or after the 30th? Okay, then. So now let's see if I'm able to find that link. Okay, we'll see.